Assalamu alaikum Nazreen, I'm your host Amna Tariq and you're watching Desi TV USA. Let's dive into the special reports. Fatima Jinnah, Pakistani politician and sister of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who helped her brother realize his goal of an independent nation for Indian Muslim and stood for the presidency of Pakistan in 1964 as a conservative candidate. Her name variations are Mohtarma Fatima Jinnah, Madre Millat Mohtarma Fatima Jinnah. She was born in 1893 in Karachi and died in 1967 in Pakistan, third daughter of Jinnah Punja, a merchant, and Mithi Bhai. Attended the Bandra Convent School in 1902 and enrolled in Dr. Ahmed Dental College, Calcutta in 1919. Became the ward of her elder brother Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Upon the death of her father, opened a dental clinic in Bombay. Moved in with her brother Muhammad Ali Jinnah upon the death of his wife Ratan Bai. Travelled in Europe. Entered politics in 1936 with the express aim of establishing an independent homeland for the Indian Muslims. Elected delegate to the Bombay Provincial Muslim League Council, March 1947, served as public speaker and politician from 1947 till 1967. Supported and nursed Muhammad Ali Jinnah during his final illness until his death on September 11, 1948. Worked to establish educational institutions including Fatima Jinnah Medical College for Girls. Worked to ease the plight of Muslim League refugees entering Pakistan by founding industrial homes in Karachi, Peshawar, and Quetta. Assisted in funding and maintaining scholarship schools and hospitals in Pakistan from 1958 till 59, and successfully stood for the President of Pakistan in 1964, challenging Ayub Khan for the leadership of the country. Fatima Jinnah, the sister of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, was perhaps the biggest supporter of her brother's search for an independent Muslim state in India. She was also a leader in Pakistani independence movement in her own right. After her brother's early death from cancer, Fatima Jinnah at least partly took his place as a leader for a conservative Muslim Pakistan. In 1964, she challenged former General Ayub Khan for the presidency of the country, seeing him as anti-democratic and a threat to the freedom of ordinary Pakistanis, although she lost the election and died only 3 years later. Fatima Jinnah maintained the loyalty and the love of many Islamic Pakistanis. Whenever Pakistan faced a political crisis, writes Atiq Zafar Sheikh, Director General of National Archives of Pakistan, Fatima Jinnah stood with the people. She always boldly and courageously challenged every action against people, democracy, and Islamic ideology. The people of Pakistan had great faith in her. Fatima Jinnah's devotion to her brother may have had its origin in their close-knit family. She lost her mother when she was very young in 1894 or 1895. Her father left with the responsibility of a large family and no wife to help care for them. Aged prematurely, his business had collapsed and he had to rely on his eldest son to help support the family. When Jinnah Punja also died unexpectedly, Muhammad Ali Jinnah took full responsibility for his younger brother and sisters. Fatima Jinnah became Muhammad's ward at the age of 8. She reported and she lived with him from the death of her father until he married for the second time in 1918. Muhammad oversaw Fatima's education, allowing her to enter the Bandra Convent School in 1902 despite her strict Islamic upbringing. In a time when Indian Muslim women were expected to stay at home and concentrate on raising and tending their families and husbands, he encouraged her plans to enroll in Dr. Ahmed Dental College in Calcutta. After the death of Muhammad Ali's second wife, Rutanbai Petit Jinnah in 1929, Fatima returned to her brother's household and lived with him until his death in 1948. She also accompanied him on his self-imposed exile in Europe from 1929 to 1935, when he entered politics in 1936 with the express aim of establishing an independent homeland for the Indian Muslim. She supported and campaigned to spread his ideas. Her efforts won her a place as a delegate to the Bombay Provincial Muslim League Council in March 1947, a time when independence for all Indians was becoming more and more of a reality. Muhammad recognized the important role his sister played in helping him create his independent Muslim state. Nothing in the days when I was expecting to be taken as a prisoner by the British government. It was my sister who encouraged me and said hopeful things when revolution was staring me in the face. Her constant care is about my health. Fatima Jinnah and her brother represented only one of many Indian groups that sought self-determination in the breakup of British Empire. The problem of self-government had plagued the British in India since the late 19th century. In 1885, a retired British official named Alan Octavian Hume assembled native Indians into a congress for a purpose of promoting Indian unity. At first, the Congress was limited to acting only in an advisory capacity, but as this time passed, the influential lawyers and wealthy men that made up the Congress sought more and more power. For example, they asked that civil service examination competitive exams for government posts be held in India as well as in England. After her brother's death, Fatima Jinnah became the chief focus for his program for the future of Pakistan. Pakistani perceived her as her brother's political heir, and they believed that she spoke with his voice on affairs of state. In her early speeches from 1948 to about 1958, she reiterated the theme that had dominated Muhammad's last year: the annexation of Kashmir, the fate of Muslim refugees in Pakistan and India, and the necessity of preserving democratic institutions in Pakistan. She also emphasized three themes of her own: the important place Islam held in the political life of Pakistan, the necessity of developing a feeling of unity and nationhood between East and West Pakistan, and the role Muslim women had played and would continue to play in the future life of the country. These themes continually appear in Fatima Jinnah's writing over the next 2 decades. The speech she delivered in 1951 on the 3rd anniversary of her brother's death demonstrates the ways in which she tried to really support and press for unity between Pakistanis. She reminded the nation of Pakistan that the problem crying for solution at the time of her brother's death were still awaiting solution. Beside the Kashmir problem, there was question of refugees. She continued, unfortunately for Fatima Jinnah's hope, Muslim unity proved less strong than rivalries between East and West Pakistan and rivalries within the government. Liaquat Ali Khan, Muhammad's chosen successor and first Prime Minister of Pakistan, was assassinated in 1951. Fatima Jinnah continued to speak out on political issues in her annual addresses on Pakistan Day, on anniversary of her brother's death, and on other occasions when she was invited to speak to the public. In 1953, she attacked Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru for having neglected to hold the promised plebiscite to determine the political future of Kashmir. In 1954, she addressed a public meeting in East Pakistan urging national unity. People of East and West Pakistan are one and she shall live together and die together. Later that year, in a speech in Karachi, she pleaded for an increased number of women in professional services. There are many ways in which women can contribute to the growth and strength of the nation. Pakistan requires the services of number of women social workers, women teachers, and above all, women doctors and nurses. In a speech of 1957, she warned of the moral and political decline of the country. By that time, Pakistan had undergone two significant changes. First, it had become a republic, adopting a constitution that gave equal representation in legislature to the East and West Pakistan, and second, its military became an important part of the political process. On 7th of October 1958, former General Muhammad Ayub Khan led a coup that overthrew the newly established constitution and established martial law. Ayub Khan introduced another constitution in 1962 and was elected to the presidency of Pakistan later that year. It was Ayub Khan's military regime that brought Fatima Jinnah thoroughly into politics again, outraged by his banning of opposition political parties. 5 parties united and supported Fatima Jinnah to run for president of Pakistan. They believed that only a person with the magic name of Jinnah could overcome the differences between East and West Pakistan and successfully oppose the military regime of Ayub Khan. Fatima Jinnah was simply too well known and well loved to be suppressed. In 1964, she announced that she would challenge Ayub Khan for the presidency in 1965 elections. She declared in a public speech in October 1964, the sovereignty in a democratic free country must reside in the people. These elections will decide whether you wish to live in this country as a free citizen or that you wish to hand over your ultimate power to others on whom you have no control today. I'm afraid another opportunity may not be afforded to you in the future. The elections were held on January 2nd, 1965. Soon after the polls closed, the Chief Election Commissioner declared Muhammad Ayub Khan the winner. Fatima Jinnah asserted later that the election had been irregular. The recent election campaign has demonstrated that in this system, the people have no effective means of ensuring that their wishes are reflected and registered in the final results. Fatima Jinnah continued to work for Islamic unity between East and West Pakistan, invoking the name and the spirit of her brother until her death in 1967. This is it from the special report. You were watching Desi TV USA. Hope you are going to share, subscribe and like our all media related platforms. Take a very good care of yourself and your family members. Allah Hafiz.